Hi, and thanks for joining us for Feel Good, a marketing podcast. I am Merissa Davis, Creative Director and Partner here at Clementine Creative Agency, and I'm joined today by Jennifer Nilsson, our Managing Director and also partner.
Hi.
Hey, Jennifer.
Hey.
Can you believe today is the final episode of the season?
No, this year went by so fast.
I know. And in addition to that, it's also planning season.
Planning season. It's my favorite season of the year.
So for today's episode, I thought it would be makes sense to kind of take a look at the client-agency relationship as one of the most common questions that we hear from people these days is something along the lines of, do I really need to hire an agency? Or is this the right time for me to hire an agency? And that makes sense. It's an understandable question. Everybody wants to be the most efficient and leads them to kind of think, well, I'm just going to hire somebody to do this internally, right? That way they know us and we know them, and we only have to teach somebody something once and then we can go from there. And they don't really understand how the relationship works anyway. So, that may seem pretty reasonable. In reality, it might not actually be that way, at least not exactly the way that you would think. So what are some of the signs and situations that might be telling you it's time to consider hiring an agency?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of situations in which, considering an outside agency team for support can really make sense. The first of those would really be, you're looking for sort of strategic level guidance. You need some strategy guidance on your marketing efforts from someone who's a subject matter expert. And, I think nobody is an expert in everything and shouldn't have to be an expert in everything. So there's no reason why every manager or business owner out there should have to try and be a marketing expert as well.
Right.
Another reason I think is if, you have a team, you have staff, but your team is really stretched on staffing, or they're already really stretched for time. And that just means that, marketing initiatives just aren't really getting done, or they're not getting done with consistency. Another thing is if you're not really sure that what you're doing from a marketing perspective is working, maybe you've seen some results, but they're very inconsistent, or you don't really know why or what they're coming from or what's working and what's not. That's something that an agency can definitely help with. And then also if you're just not reaching your goals, and you've kind of maximized what you know to do about it, whether, you're not reaching your goals at all, or you're trying to grow and you've just kind of gone stagnant, and you just don't know what to do next, and I think, again, nobody's an expert in everything. And so an agency really that's a whole team of professionals that are specialists in what they do that you can call on, to help you meet your goals and kind of get to the next level.
Yeah, as much as we think that we can do everything ourselves all the time, that's just not feasible in reality. I think it's also important to remember that even if you do have a staff member dedicated to sales and marketing, an agency can work with that person and be a tremendous asset in getting things done and making sure that the initiatives are being met. It gives an entire set of hands working toward the common goals. And it doesn't have to be an agency working directly with the business owner, but it can be, or an executive suite, it can be the agency working with your sales and marketing director or somebody else from your team that has the initiatives and can set those goals for the agency that's working with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's hard to be a single marketing director out there on an island too, in an organization. And as the market gets more competitive and, if you're trying to grow your business, things like that, even if you have marketing in-house, you may need additional support, or you may need some of those just different skills and advantages that an agency team can really bring to the table. I think one of the big things that an agency brings to the table is just fresh thinking, right? You get a whole group of creative professionals that can really bring new ideas and new tactics to the table, things maybe you guys haven't thought of. And as an agency that's solely focused on marketing, it's our job sort of to keep up with the latest in terms of trends and standards and, what's going on from a marketing perspective or technology perspective or whatever it may be. so that, you as a business owner, you don't have to be worried about doing that too on top of everything else.
Right. Yeah. And, the other thing that an agency can provide is a wide range of experience. We are a creative marketing agency, and we've worked with a range of different clients and a range of marketing channels and different types of campaigns. So we kind of have a breadth of experience that one single person in an industry doesn't necessarily have from the broader range view, right?
Yeah.
We kind of have a lot of strategies under our belt to understand the foundation for what's going on and to really be able to give good advice and a strategy that's workable for their specific industry and issues that they're having.
Yeah.
So an agency can help you get where you want to go a lot faster and usually a lot more cost effectively than working on your own.
Yeah. I mean, and you talk about getting there faster. I think another point there is that agencies are going to have sort of established systems and established workflows to go ahead and get those things done and get them done consistently, get projects through the pipeline, right? And get things produced. And as we all know, consistency is key in marketing. And an agency is going to already have those systems and workflows in place to manage that work effectively so that you're getting those initiatives out in the world when you need them to get out into the marketplace. And you don't have to build those systems yourself or manage them yourself.
Right. Yeah. And in terms of that consistency, it also helps to have a dedicated staff that extends the capacity of what you already have. When you hire an agency team and you have them, they have a dedicated attention that doesn't require you to maintain or manage that staff in-house, which that can be cost effective or cost prohibitive as well. And you have a built-in coverage and continuity if somebody goes on vacation or there's some other type of leave, or if somebody leaves the company that was the expert in that, then you've kind of lost ground in that experience. But hiring an agency allows you to have all of that team working in their own specialties and skills, and being able to fill in those holes without you ever noticing a difference. So keeping that consistency is incredibly important to marketing objectives, and that's what an agency can really help provide.
Yeah. I think another thing that is important to remember is that agencies really do have a very high, I would almost say higher level of accountability to the results that they're producing.
Right.
Because we work with all of our clients to establish a set of goals and objectives up front, that this is where we want to go, and then agree on how we're going to track the performance on those. And so we have a really high level of accountability in delivering on those objectives. I mean, in the end, an agency is successful when their clients are successful.
Right.
So really an agency's primary goal is to make sure that that client is happy and successful. And that's a pretty powerful thing.
Happy client, happy life, right?
Exactly. Yes.
One last piece I think, which is always important to every business, is cost effectiveness. And you might think it's more cost effective to hire somebody on your team to do everything. But again, not one person can really do everything and do it very well. So an agency really lets you hire an entire team of people, and you don't have to worry about the overhead that comes with a full-time employee. All of those additional benefits that you provide to your full-time team is something that you don't have to put on an agency.
Yeah, for sure. But then that kind of brings you to the other part of the question, right? Which is, how does this relationship really work? If this is, if I'm a business owner, I understand what it means to hire someone onto my team. If someone's my employee, they work for me. I know how that works. I know how the dynamic works. I know how we communicate. But when I start thinking about an agency, that feels different to me, maybe.
Sure, yeah.
So how would you really describe the relationship sort of between the client and the agency?
Yeah, I think it's actually pretty similar in a lot of ways. Your agency is really part of your team. It's an extension of your team. So you're going to give your agency a defined scope of work, similar to a job description, right? And you're going to measure that performance based on an agreed upon set of expectations, and then measure that throughout the year based on metrics that everybody has agreed upon. Mm-hmm. So it's very much a similar process in that way. And I think that, that brings you to a different point of, what are some keys that you would look for in a good client relationship? What does that really feel like?
Yeah.
First and foremost, I think honesty is incredibly important. An open, honest communication is key to a good relationship, and an agency relationship is no different than that.
Yeah.
We make sure to communicate frequently and consistently with our clients to make sure that everybody is under the same set of expectations, and we really depend on them for quality feedback, constructive feedback, and their honesty to make sure that we can reach the goals that they are trying to achieve for their business.
I would add to that, mutual respect, I think, is really important in the agency client relationship. Clearly, the client is the expert on their own business. At the same time, the agency is hired to be the expert on marketing strategy and creative and things like that, and really dive in and internalize the client's brand and business and learn that. So I think developing that really strong trust in each other's expertise is really critical to a successful relationship.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of trust, along those same lines, collaboration is really important as well. The ability to put your heads together with a client to solve a problem and come up with a new idea is crucial. And it's so important that the client is able to provide whatever the agency needs in terms of budgets or details about the brand or product so that we can effectively create what they need.
Yeah. And I think, we mentioned already, but it bears repeating, accountability obviously is really important. An agency has a high level of accountability to delivering on the client's objectives. But that also means a high level of transparency around that effort, and providing regular reporting on those results and what kind of progress are we making, as well as, the client providing the data, the information, anything that we need in order to do our job as well.
Right. In the end, I think you really want to know that your agency is focused on what's best for you and for your business. And that's something that can be incredibly powerful, because they do have a lot of flexible ways that an agency can solve problems and add value to your business. So why not take advantage of that now, right?
Yeah.
We've talked to so many potential clients who ended up deciding that an agency really wasn't what they thought that they needed at the time. They would just hire somebody in-house to do it or do it DIY. And then 6, 12, or 18 months later, they call back and they're frustrated and they're upset because they haven't made any progress and they've spent all of that time. And, losing time is losing money as well. So they're still wrestling with a lot of the same issues that they had at the beginning.
Yeah, and that's frustrating. Obviously, you don't want to get stuck in that loop. So I think hiring an agency really is just kind of a unique solution in that sense, in that it gives you a whole team and all of the knowledge and all the creativity that comes with a whole team. And I think that can be a huge advantage for any brand.
Sure. So whether you're just starting out on your marketing journey or you're looking to add a little boost for your marketing initiatives, hiring an agency might be just the ticket that you need for success. Why don't you reach out to us at clementinecreativeagency.com to start the conversation. And don't forget, subscribe, and comment on our podcast and blog for more information. And we'll see you next time on the next season of Peel Good.
Yeah.